as they celebrate all year long. First National Bank and Trust Company's goal is to ignite prosperity by helping its clients do more with their money. Thank you for being part of their story for 150 years. First National Bank and Trust Company, member FDIC.
Rodney Davis is the kind of no-nonsense person we need as our champion in Washington. We need someone we can trust, and Rodney has earned our trust. Rodney Davis understands the importance of agriculture to our economy, and we need an experienced conservative fighter who will battle for us on key items like the next farm bill. Rodney Davis pushes through all the red tape to make sure our concerns and needs are heard in Washington. We need to send Rodney Davis to Congress for us. Vote Rodney Davis for Congress. Paid for by Illinois Farm Bureau Activator.
6 minutes after 7 o'clock is news time here on the WHOW Morning Show. Top of the morning from the newsroom of Regional Radio and DeWittDailyNews.com. I'm Seth Lawrence with this expanded local newscast brought to you by Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton, your Silverado headquarters, and the morning show streams to Facebook and YouTube. It's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. The DeWitt County Board for the better part of 2022 has been debating how to use federal COVID dollars, and there was more of it Thursday night at the monthly board meeting. On the Thursday agenda were a couple of requests for funding for ARPA funds, or American Rescue Plan Act money, that is in the millions. The conversation Thursday started with a request from DeWitt County Sheriff Mike Walker for upgrading his department's jail flooring. The debate centered around where the funding should come from, as this wasn't a budgeted item.
Basically what this is that floor is original to the building, so when we moved in there in 94, that floor is original. Okay. At some point, people in charge of maintenance and cleaning decided that waxing the floor was no longer needed. So they stopped waxing the floor, started just wet mopping it. And over the years, the wax seals the cracks of the tiles. Over the years, since there's no wax there, the water has gotten into those cracks, deteriorated the glue, and now tiling is starting to pop up in different places. So you're dealing with a floor that's almost 30 years old, basically 28 years right now. So there's a lot of wear and tear on it. We've taken care of it as best we can. That's one thing we do pride ourselves in. That jail is cleaner than most newer jails. It's something that, obviously needs to be done because we don't want an inmate or officer tripping on a piece of tile that's coming up and have an injury.
So it'd be kind of considered a life safety issue?
I just think anybody's in disagreement about replacing the tile.
Right.
It's where we're going to pay for it. Okay, now, my question is, in a financial report, there's $300,000 in a fund called Clinton Power Station Escrow Account. That money's been sitting there since 2015. My question is, can we use this money for this items? Why don't we use this money? Why is it just sitting there?
Upon Buck Carter's proposal to use money from an Exelon escrow account, which we'll have more on next week on Regional Radio News, the conversation progressed to using ARPA funds to pay for the proposal.
Well, I think the question behind this real question is it kind of goes back to, because obviously the question is where we're going to fund this from. And it kind of goes back to the last board meeting. Moving forward, we've been kind of using the ARPA funds for various reasons. And there's lots of philosophies of how that money can be best used for the county. I would even advocate that giving money to a business that generates tax base and employs people and offers services to the community is as valuable to the community as tile for the jail, which most of the people in DeWitt County will never step foot in. So I think there's different philosophies there. But the question I really have is, moving forward, I think we need to have a direction on when we're going to use ARPA funds and when we're not. Is it going to be, I'd like new office chairs for my office, or is it going to be for critical things we really do need to take care of while we have this opportunity in our hands?
So you don't consider new tile in the...
I'm not necessarily saying that. To me, that's why I specifically asked him about life safety.
Yeah.
Because if you start to say life safety or this hasn't been touched for 20, 30 years, that's a different conversation than hey, I just want some new chairs and some new carpet in my office because it'll look nicer. And I'm not saying that's the case for everything, but I do think that we should prioritize work that's more priority over.
The board approved the sheriff's request for the new jail flooring from ARPA money, but Megan Myers echoed Aaron K. Myers' thoughts on prioritizing where they want the money to go. Board Chair Terry Ferguson pointed out there was an agenda item later in the meeting to do just that.
I guess along the lines of what Aaron stated, my concern is that we've had a limited amount of funds here, and unless we know, this floor came up, I think, in the last 30 or 60 days. What else will come up in the next 30 or 60 days? Do we need to take a step back and say to the departments, what else is out there that we need to consider? And then also my concern still is, I think the finance group has done a great job on removing the 501Cs, but I strongly feel we have to allocate some of this to our businesses. Our businesses employ people, they provide taxes for services. They've been hit hard too, and it asked them to apply. So I think we've got to make sure that we've got money set aside to take a look at what we can do for them, because we're not going to have this opportunity.
With the applications that we received from the businesses, I'm just kind of off the.
Yeah,
subject.
we're
gonna get to that.
Yeah,
We're gonna get to that.
Motion that we have on the floor.
And I don't know if that makes a difference in the way that you're.
I think it might make-
My times I don't agree with ARPA funds. I don't think we should be using ARPA funds until we've gotten through. Really, we need to take a better look at this overall. That's just my comment.
Yeah. Okay.
Later in the meeting, the board approved making 20% of the total ARPA funds available for grants to small businesses. Ferguson pointed out most businesses that applied for the funding when it was initially made available earlier this year are reporting a banner year, and he felt it would be best used to go to nonprofits for their revenue losses.
And for your comments about businesses, quite frankly, most of the businesses that made application, if in review with talking with the owners of those businesses, during this process, they've had banner year, record years, and that was why we were kind of holding back on helping them when the nonprofits probably got hurt harder than the businesses that applied for.
Over $600,000 was proposed to be made available from the funds to the public. David Newberg pointed out DeWitt County is doing more with this funding for the business and nonprofit community than any county surrounding it.
And I'd also like to bring up that the motion we're talking about is 20% of the $3 million.
Right.
In figures.
Yes.
Provided we get this second
half.
1.5 million, which I believe.
I think we'll probably get it next week, honestly.
Yeah.
And we're
Right
not
before the end of the
saying
month.
that,
So that'll be 600,000. Now, maybe there are people that think that's not enough, that the county's doing, to help, I don't know what you're looking at, outside agencies, but I would suggest we look at what the city get. What are they doing for people? What did McLean County get? What are they doing? We are doing more than any county around us or any entity around us. And I think we ought to be, I'm very proud of that. That's the way I feel.
But we asked people to apply.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just want to make sure that we're not discounting them, because, anytime we can help a business out, without our businesses, that's, a big chunk of the county. Illinois is the third worst state for small businesses, so how we can help them out.
And DeWitt County is the best county in the whole damn state of Illinois.
So I don't disagree with that one, but I guess the question is the 20, how did we come to the 20%?
Ferguson and Dan Matthews outlined how they arrived at the 20%, and Matthews noted the federal guidelines have changed significantly regarding how they can use the money.
I'm not sure.
To be honest, everybody, I've been saying $1 million all along, right? I said that in these meetings, I was taking a third of the money. And I finally just sat down and went through that list and tried to be as fair, I'll say, as I could, and just looked at what did they ask for, what was life safety, health, what fit into some of those categories. Megan shared a great, if everyone hasn't seen this yet, this I believe is the final, it says June 22 on there, of rules. And so, and most of what I kind of went through that to determine some of the groups and things fit everything that says in here, eligible use of funds, who the groups are, what you can do for them, was I just thought we needed a starting point with that. And by doing that, I actually came up with about $600,000 to, and I thought that's pretty fair number, and the right groups are getting taken care of in my mind. Everybody should have input on that. Then backed off some to say, we as a group went through and said maybe, for instance, the EMA, instead of paying for 3 units they wanted, we said let's pay for 2. So there was a little more money that we could use for somebody else. So we kind of backed out a little bit, and we came up to just under $500,000, and we said, okay, now we have $107,000. Where would we put it? There's a few questions.
I kind of did the same thing, Dan. I went home the first time we got the applications and split them all out and organized them and prioritized them. And my thought process, I came up with a number a little over $600,000 also. And I felt were valid projects that were based on safety, and some of them were based on the fact that the groups that were applying were pretty bad financially, and what they were asking for seemed pretty reasonable. And
As the conversation progressed, County Administrator Dee Dee Rentmeister pointed out the firm they hired to assist the county in using the funds, Bellwether, has advised if the county decides to just distribute the money to request tax returns, the other option is to go back to these groups and have them make a request for a project.
There's more reporting that we're required to make, that they're required to give us. I did run these through, we contracted with Bellwether to assist us on the things that we needed to do to fulfill the obligations that the Treasury puts on us. Bruce with Bellwether, he's telling his other counties that are going through the same process that we are. If we're looking at places and we're saying lost revenue, and that's what we're going by, he's suggesting that we go back to them and we ask them for a specific project. If we don't want to do that, we're set on, we're just going to give them a check because of lost revenue. They must provide federal income tax returns, schedules that they file beginning 2018 prior to the pandemic through 2021 that supports their statements of lost revenue.
no, it doesn't say that in that.
Yeah,
Well, that's the last one I got too, was the same thing.
But-
I haven't seen that for sure.
nothing in here states that, but this says it's an executive summary overview of U.S. Treasury final rule for ARPA, blah, blah, blah. It certainly doesn't say that in here. Doesn't mean that that's not, maybe this is slimmed down to so that people read it, versus having a 200-page document.
Yes,
But it says if it's an impacted nonprofit, decreased revenues, they're eligible. Eligible use, a loan or a grant to mitigate the financial hardship they endured. That's pretty simple. That if they prove their case, that we have, I think, just more work to do on that. You need to understand. Is that Bellwether's opinion, or is that, we just need to dig into that further.
The board held a recent meeting regarding the applications they received for the funding, and according to Newberg, no one from the public showed up to the meeting. The conversation between Kmeyer and Newberg grew tense when Kmeyer suggested the applicants be made aware of the meeting, to which Newberg took exception because the meeting was posted and was an open meeting.
One of the things I always believe in is transparency and insight to the process. And I don't feel like we've been very forthcoming with our applicants.
I'm gonna tell you what, we had finance meeting, special meeting, when was that, Mrs. Tillich? It was posted
Right at the beginning of June.
How hard is it to?
2 weeks ago, it was posted, it was out there.
So it's lazy
I
fair.
guess, who showed up?
Who showed up?
Only the finance committee, not one other person.
So how
Not
hard
one
is
other
it?
board
How hard is
member,
this?
not one other people from the public.
How hard
Nobody
is it
showed
to
up.
make that phone
How
number?
transparent do you want us to be, Aaron?
How hard is it that the applicants took the time, you have your emails and your phone numbers, how hard would it have been for us
But
to
we don't
communicate?
have
We don't.
emails.
We don't.
Well, why
Because
would you submit an application with no phone number or email? That's
Well, why
just
don't
stupid.
you ask the applicant?
Well, why didn't we ask for it? That's stupid.
Well,
we didn't.
Why weren't you at the meeting?
Because I'm not on the committee.
Okay.
Well,
I don't know.
What is the last marina meeting you went to, Dave?
We have a,
let's,
I have no complaints about the marina.
yeah, we've
You're
got
complaining about finance.
we've
No,
got
Have you heard me
complaining about the
complain
ARPA
about the
process.
marina?
all right,
Complain about the ARPA
we're losing our
process.
yeah.
train of thought here, guys.
Let's call
Let's
the
move on to the motion.
CENTCOM Director Tony Harris, soon after the 20% of ARPA money, just over $600,000, was approved, was making a presentation for an upgrade to his office's equipment. Before a vote or Harris could field questions, Kmeyer interjected further regarding needing more organization regarding requests for ARPA money.
So what I just heard was a business case, which doesn't really ever happen. Why can't we present that type of stuff on the proposals when we have a line item? Like, that would have been nice information to have to make a decision about whatever the cost is. It's over 100,000. We just get a piece of paper, so they have a bid.
Well, I would say we listened to that. We had that proposal. We brought it forward and everyone had the opportunity. You had that information prior to the meeting to ask questions. No questions were asked. And we got there. I agree with Megan 100% that I would like to, in my opinion, I'd like to get these things approved. We approved the carpet. I'd like to halt any more ARPA funds till we put a plan together. And I don't mean not spend it, but I'm just saying, but it takes time. So either a separate group, I don't think it should just fall on finance to go through a planning, but what else is out there? Let's just look at what else. Instead of saying no just because you don't know, don't do that. Let's do a little more planning. What you think other things. Sheriff Walker might have other things that we need. I'm sure he does.
Travis Hauser and Sheriff Walker defended the request from Harris, citing its importance.
Yes, right.
I'd like to give my 2 cents. I voted this down the last time, and since then, I've researched, learned a lot more about it, thought about it. Like Tony said, this is used 24/7. This is kind of like the lifeline of the county. Sheriff Walker can't do his job if this isn't running. The EMS, the fire departments, the whole county. This kind of is the lifeline. If they're having issues and can't run the county like it needs to be ran, we need to help them out and get it fixed.
Something else that Tony hasn't brought up with this too, that a lot of people don't understand, is we're backed up to other 911 centers who are in response. Turn around, we back them up, they back us up. So if we don't have the equipment to do that, then there's a possibility we could lose our backups. These things are important. Dan mentioned, I got something I'm probably gonna bring next month that goes right along with this as far as our radio system. Things like that. Aaron talks about, life safety stuff. This is definitely a life safety thing, because you get a dispatcher in the middle of typing in a heart attack or a bad accident on 51, and that keyboard drops down, and for some reason it deletes all the information or cuts off that 911 caller. You're taking a lot of time to get that process started all over.
As the county's annual budget process begins in July, Tilley encouraged any requests to be submitted to the board with details of what they need and why.
You came in with, hey, we want to replace that. Like you said, it sounded like you just wanted new furniture. I guess I should have sat there and grilled you as you presented it as to the whys.
Okay, so now, a comment in regard to that is we're getting ready, July, we start our budget process. And at the last finance meeting, we discussed as to, we were pretty certain that the department heads were going to come with issues for their own departments. And so possibly if you could send us a copy of what you used, maybe this is something that we could give to the department managers to be able to say, try to follow these guidelines, let us know what it is. We are looking at maybe a certain amount that we would use for ARPA funds, maybe something that we could budget for then in the process. It depends on what it is that they're looking for. But that's a wonderful idea to be able to have a piece of paper that they fill out, and then everybody will have what is written so that they would know.
Right, and I would have made that process, because what he said tonight makes sense.
Okay.
So but not having that information, to Travis's point, that's what it sounded like, was we wanted new furniture, and then that makes me wonder, hey, we're just giving out new furniture and we have a whole lot of other people waiting in line.
Like the sheriff's request for new flooring in the jail to be paid for with ARPA money, the board approved Harris's request for new equipment in the 911 center from ARPA funds. We'll have more from the county board meeting next week on Regional Radio. A quick break here. Back with more after this on the WHOW Morning Show.
Having a hard time finding the correct new car, truck, SUV, or crossover to fit your needs? This is Scott Baum from Bob Chevrolet Buick here in Clinton. Some lots look low on inventory, so go to our website, look at our pre-order and reserve tab. You'll see inventory in transit, which are built and on their way to Clinton, and in production, new Chevys and Buicks, which are being built and will arrive soon. Or you can always call our sales team. They can help you find the correct one just for you. BombChevyBuick.com, right from the start.
26 minutes after the hour here on this Friday morning. Coverage of the morning show streams to Facebook and YouTube. It's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. News is brought to you by Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton, your Silverado headquarters. Summer has officially arrived and increased temperatures are already here. Ameren, Illinois officials are advising customers on how to stay safe and cool and manage their electricity usage to save money. Stephanie Robinson is an energy efficiency consultant with Ameren, Illinois.
That customers can do is we want to make sure that our homes stay cool on the inside as much as possible. So we want to close our windows, our blinds, our curtains. We want to keep those sun rays from coming inside the home and warming the home up as you're trying to cool the home down.
Robinson also recommends increasing your thermostat a few degrees and invest in a dehumidifier, as reducing the amount of moisture in the air can make your home seem much cooler. Customers can find information on how to save by heading to AmerenIllinoisSavings.com. Pollinator Week is being celebrated this week, and the Illinois Farm Bureau is highlighting several projects throughout the state.
Carroll and Stevenson and McHenry County Farm Bureaus are working on two separate projects at local community colleges, kind of looking at developing pollinator plots at those college research farms and developing education and outreach opportunities. Clinton, LaSalle, and DeWitt, all on their own, are establishing new pollinator habitat in their local communities, some at schools, some at the County Farm Bureau offices, and then in other places throughout the area. Cook County Farm Bureau is an example of a county that's been working on pollinator efforts for a long time. They've officially registered their office's pollinator garden as a monarch butterfly way station. And they've also been working closely with Lincoln Park Zoo to distribute materials and provide outreach about what farmers are doing to protect pollinators. Similarly, Kane County has been working on expanding their existing plot and hosting community outreach events at that pollinator plot. Lee Bureau, Marshall Putnam, and Stark County Farm Bureaus have partnered on a pollinator seed sale program that'll run through Pollinator Week. Check that out if you're in their local area. And then Pike Scott has been working on supporting pollinator habitat at the new Philadelphia site, including developing some signage to promote the plot sponsors and pollinator practices.
That's Illinois Farm Bureau's Raylan Parmalee, who says pollinator resources are available at ilfb.org/pollinators. 29 minutes after the hour on this Friday, coverage of news brought to you by Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton, your Silverado headquarters. The morning show streams to Facebook and YouTube. It's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Get news anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com. Network news is next. A look at local sports on the way.
With SRN News.